Hey guys, thanks for joining me. We are doing 6.2 and 6.3 today, which is just factoring trinomials. It's a long video. You feel free to skip through the parts you need or watch half of it, do 6.2, watch the other half, do 6.3. All right, so it says that there are multiple ways to factor trinomials. Trinomials just means we have three terms, right? We can't combine any of them because they are unlike. So there are multiple ways to factor trinomials. The approach may look different, but the end goal is still factor trinomials. In class, we will explore the factoring method of reverse FOIL and the AC method for trinomials. Okay, so when we are factoring trinomials, I'm going to refer to them as ax squared plus bx plus c. That just means if I had the trinomial 3x squared plus 2x plus 1, a is 3, b is 2, and c is 1. So c means our constant, b is the number in front of the x, and then a is the number in front of the x squared. Also, frequently you will get, instead of 3x squared plus 2x plus 1, you'll just get x squared plus 2x plus 1. That just means that a is 1. In this situation, b is still 2, and c is still 1. Also, if it was x squared minus 5, x minus 10, then b would be a negative number, and c would also be a negative number. So we just remember that we carry the sign. If we're adding them, then those are all positive terms, but if we're subtracting it, then the c is a negative term. Good. All right. Put them in descending order and combine like terms. And what we're going to do is factor them. Okay. So you're taking the last video was about greatest common factor. So you're taking three terms and you're trying to simplify them using factoring. Okay. Check for greatest common factor, put them in descending order, combine like terms. If a polynomial is prime, just like a number being prime, it means you can only divide it by itself and the number 1. You can't factor it any further in its factor form. Okay. So the first method we're going to talk about is called reverse FOIL. So to do that, we're just going to review how to FOIL. Okay. So if I need to multiply the quantity 5x plus 7 times the quantity 4x minus 9, what would I do? We would do first, outside, inside, last, right? So first means 5x times 4x. 5 times 4 is 20. 5 times 4 is 20. X times x. Remember, when you're multiplying variables, the rule of exponent says that if it's the same base, so x is the same base, you add the exponent if the base is being multiplied. So we're multiplying x to the first times x to the first, we get x squared. Okay. Outside would be 5x times negative 9. Note that it's a negative 9 because it's 4x minus 9. Okay. So O is 5x times negative 9. Again, just multiply the numbers. 5 times negative 9 is going to be negative 45, right? And then here we multiplied the two variables because there were 2 of them. Here there's just one variable. So instead of 5 x's, we have negative 45 x's because we multiplied those 5 x's by the number negative 9. Good. My color keeps getting a little bit crowded. I is going to be the inside terms. Positive 7 times a positive 4x. 7 times 4x. Just like here, because one has a variable and one does not, we just end up with one variable, not a squared variable. Good. So 7 times 4, I'm putting in my calculator, is 28. they were both positive, so it's a positive 28, and then the x just comes along. So it was 4x, but those 4x's got multiplied by 7, so now there are 7 groups of 4x, which makes 28 x's, right? And then last would just be that 7 times -9. So it's a positive 7 times a -9 is, what's that trick where you like put all 10 of your fingers out and then you put down your 7th finger and you get 63. So 7 times 9 is 63, so 7 times -9 is -63. Good? All right, so we did first outside, inside, last, and we're just gonna line those up. We started with 20x squared minus 45x plus, because it's a positive 28, 28x minus 63. Now, one more step, last step, combine the like terms. We have an x squared, we have an x, and a constant. We can combine the x and the x, make sure you include the sign. So that's -45 plus 28. So we're basically subtracting, right? I'm going to say, what is 45 minus 28? It's going to give me 17, but the 45 is negative, so it's going to be a -17x. Okay, so that those two middle terms simplified to -17x. The A just comes straight down, and the C just comes straight down. So if you can see now, we had two binomials. We turned it into a trinomial, and for this trinomial, just for practice or just for a visual, for this trinomial, A is the number 20, B is the number -17, and C is the number -63. Good? All right, so in general, when multiplying two binomials, the result is a trinomial after you combine any like terms. So not always, but usually. So we're going to do the same thing, multiply using the FOIL method and put the answer in descending order. Sorry, my daughter is bored. She's painting my nails, and I tried to take them off without my nails watching her, so I apologize for what you have to look at during this. All right, first is A times A, which again, when we're multiplying numbers with the same base, you just leave the base as it is, and then you add the exponents. So that was a 1 and a 1, so now it's just a 2. Outside is A times -6, -6A. Inside, -5 times A is -5A. And then last, -5 times -6 is 5 times 6 is what, 30? And then negative times a negative is a positive. Okay, so that, just like last time, just like the other previous example, A squared minus 6A minus 5A plus 30, so that 30 is a positive. Negative times a negative is a positive. Good, we can combine like terms, so that's -6 and -5. Since they're both negative, we just add them, so then it's made it like a plus. Obviously still a negative, but -6 minus 5 is a -11A plus 30. Good? So in terms of FOIL and the resulting answer, how did we get the first term? We multiplied the first terms of the binomials together. Right? How did we get the last term? We multiplied the last two terms. And the middle term, this one was hard, right? The middle term, we multiplied the we multiplied this one times this one and this one times this one, right? The middle term was we multiplied first and last and first, and added them. Right, there were two steps. So we multiplied the first and the last, and then we multiplied the last and the first. Got 6 and -6 and -5, and then we added them with this, bringing some negative elements, right? So that's how we got the first term, the last term, and the middle term. So that's the FOIL method. We're going to start doing the FOIL method in reverse, and there's not enough space on this paper. So following from the previous example, the first step in reverse FOIL method is to list all possible factors of the first and last terms of the trinomial. So the first term is A, and oh no, sorry, the first term is the A and the X squared, and the last term is the C. Okay. So all the factors here is, so we're doing number 4, I'm gonna write it down here. X squared plus 8x plus 12. They want all possible factors of the first and last terms. The first term is x squared, the last term is 12. So all possible factors of x squared and of 12. Just so we have a number, okay? X squared is just x times x. Possible factors of 12. I did a terrible job teaching greatest common factor in 6.1, so I'm gonna, how do I find the factors of 12? I'm gonna redo it. Factors of 12 are 1 times 12, right? 2 times 6, and 3 times 4. So I just start at number 1. If I take 12 and I divide it by 1, I get 12. If I take 12 and I divide it by the next number, which is 2, I get 6. If I take 12 and I divide it by 3, I get 4. If I take 12 and divide it by the next number, oh, the next number is that number. So I've covered all the numbers. These are the factors of 12. 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. So it's x times x as the only terms that make up x squared. The only thing you can multiply together to get x squared is x times x. You could also get x squared times 1, but we don't really see that in this way of factoring. So I would not worry about x squared times 1. I would just worry about x times x. Okay, and then it could either be 1. Sorry, I did a multiplication here, so I have to do multiplication here. 1 times 12, 2 times 6, or 3 times 4, but it's not x squared times 1, it's x times x, 3 times 4. Got it? So those are all the factors of the first and last terms of the trinomial, okay? Based on what we know about FOIL, what must be the signs of the binomial factors? So again, we have x squared plus 8x plus 12. What did we do down here? Multiply the first terms together, multiply the first terms together, you get this one. Multiply the last terms together, you get this one. Multiply the first and the last, and then added them, right? So if this number is a negative, if that number is a negative, that means that my factors are negative, right? If that number is positive, my factors are positive, right? Because if these are positive, I'm going to get positive numbers here, and I'm going to be combining them to get a positive number. If these are negative, like they are in the example number 3, then when I multiply, I'm going to get a negative number, and then when I add 2 negative numbers, I'm going to get a negative number, okay? So when it asks you, based on your knowledge of FOIL, what must the signs of the binomial factors be for this problem, the signs of the binomial factors must be positive. If they ask you about the signs of the binomial factors of this, a squared minus 11a plus 30, you would say that the signs of the binomial factors must be negative because this 11 is negative. Okay, because that 8 is positive, the signs of the binomial factors must be positive. So that means when I'm talking about my factors of 12, I actually have 1 times 12, 2 times 6, 3 times 4. I also have -1 times -12, -2 times -6, -3 times -4, right? If I was to multiply -1 times -12, I'd get a positive 12. -2 times -6, I'd get a positive 12. -3 times -4, I'd get a positive 12. Okay, so because the binomial factors must be positive, I do not have to include -1, -12, -2, -6, -3, -4. Also, I guess true enough, -x times -x, right? It's not going to come up, but those are two factors. Those are a pair of factors that would give you x squared. -x times -x would give you positive x squared, because negative times negative is positive. Right, but because that 8 is positive, we are only going to list the positive factors of the number 12. Right, now using the above information, find the combination of factors first and last term which yield the desired polynomial. Sounds confusing, but here's what we have, okay? We have x squared plus 8x plus 12, and this is called the reverse FOIL method, okay? The reverse FOIL method uses what we know about the FOIL method. The FOIL method, to do the FOIL method, we end up with a trinomial, but what do we start with? We start with 2 binomials. So we are just going to decide, kind of guess, but really educatedly decide what goes here, what goes here, what goes here, what goes here, and what are the signs, okay? X squared. We already decided, what are the factors of x squared? Well, it could be -x times -x, it could be x squared times 1, or it could be x times x. What's it going to be? It's going to be positive x times positive x, okay? When your a is a 1, when there's no number in front of the x squared, you can always start your factoring with x blank x, okay? We're figuring this part out later, but if this is just a 1x squared, you can start with x times x, okay? Now we just decide, should I put a 1 and a 12? Should I put a 2 and a 6? Should I put a 3 and a 4? Okay, that's all we're deciding. And we can even write each one out. How many are there? There are 3 different choices. This is the reverse FOIL method. So what I did for the reverse FOIL method is I decided what x squared is. X squared is just x times x. And I decided what all the options of 12 might be. 12 might be 1 times 12. It might be 2 times 6. And it might be 3 times 4. It could also be -1 times -12, -2 times -6, and -3 times -4. But if it was, then I would be getting a negative middle term, right? I'm not getting a negative middle term, it is a positive middle term, okay? So because this is x squared, I know that my x's are positive, okay? Now, -1, -12. Oh, sorry. I was just looking at it because I just used that color marker. We already decided we're not doing the negatives, right? We're doing the positives. +1, +12. What's the other option? +2, +6, +3, +4. So what I did was I said x squared is going to be x times x, no matter what. 12 could either be 1 times 12, 2 times 6, or 3 times 4. Okay, so I know my first is going to be x times x, right? I know my last is going to equal 12, and it's either going to be 3 times 4, 2 times 6, or 1 times 12. I need my outside and my inside, whatever they are, I need them to add to what number? To 8. Okay, so let's think about this. First is x times x. Outside for this one, all right, so let's just look at this one. X times x, outside would be 12x, inside would be 1x, 12x times 1x, or sorry, 12x for my outside, 1x for my inside. If I add them, I get 13x. That's not 8, right? Next one, first, x times x. Outside, x times 6, 6x. Inside, 2 times x, 2x. 6 times 2, or sorry, 6 plus 2 is 8x, and that is what we're looking for, okay? Last one, just to finish the example. First, x times x. Outside, x times 4. Inside, 3 times x. 4x and 3x is 7x, so that's not it. So what we're doing is, and you're not erasing them, you're just crossing them out. I tried 12 times 1. It didn't yield me the right middle term. That would have given me a middle term of 13x. I tried 2 and 6, it gave me the right term. I tried 3 and 4, it gave me 7x. Okay, so the FOIL method is really just guessing, creating all of the possible factors and guessing which one is the right one and then checking your guess, right? Let's check our guess. X times x is x squared. X times 6, 6x. 2 times x, 2x. 2 and 6 makes 8. 2 times 6 makes a positive 12, okay? If we had used the negative terms, right? If I had said, okay, and said, I think that to get to 12, I'm going to do -2 times -6, right? First, we would have had x squared. Outside, we would have had -6x. Inside, we would have had -2x. And then last, we would have had positive 12. So it would have met the conditions of first and last, but it would have been x squared, and then the outside would have been -6x, the inside would have been -2x, and the last would be positive 12. So that would have led you to something that looks like the answer, but isn't the answer. And that could also just tell you, oh, if I switch both the signs, I'll get the right answer. Okay, so that's why we need to be careful. Before we start guessing, we want to imagine what the correct sign is to use for the second term in the binomial. Okay, so that's going to save you a lot of time if you know how to decide what the signs are. Right, so that's the, what's it called? What do they call it? That is the reverse FOIL method. Okay, so we did our possible factors. Our possible factors were 1 and 12, 2 and 6, and 3 and 4. We checked each one. 1 and 12 does not work. 2 and 6 does work. 3 and 4 does work. Does not work. -2 and -6 do not work either. Okay. So now moving on to the next one. All right, and I'm going to keep doing them not on this page because the page is tiny. All right, factor the trinomial completely. If the factor cannot be factored, just write the word prime. So we've got x squared minus 2x minus 99. Good. All right, what are the factors of x squared? Well, the factors of x squared are x times x. Now we need to find the factors of -99. So here was x squared, and here is -99. Okay, factoring -99. All right, so finding the factors of 99. 99 is a big number, so it can be, it can seem like it's a big task. Also, note that it's -99. Okay, so because the number is negative, that means that when we divide -99 by the number 1, we get the number negative 99. If we divide it by negative 1, we get the number positive 99. So just like in this example, we had 1 and 12, and we also had negative 1 and negative 12. If the number that we are multiplying our two factors to end up with, if the number we're starting with is a negative, that means there are two sets. So negative 99, you can divide it by negative 1, and we get 99. You can divide it by 1 and get negative 99. Okay, so there's like two sides to each pair of numbers. 1 and 99, but the 1's negative, and then 1 and 99, but the 99 is negative. Okay, and then, so we all know you can divide it by 1, right? Okay, you can divide the number by 1. And then just divide it by 2. No, if it's an odd number, it's not going to be divisible by any other odd numbers, right? So 99 divided by 3. Ooh, got one. So we've got 3. Negative 99 divided by a positive 3 is going to be a negative 33. Or if you do a negative 3, it's going to be a positive 33. Okay? We know we can't divide it by 4. 5? No, it's not a whole number. We're only looking for whole numbers. We can't do 6, right? Because 6 is an even number. 7? No. Can we divide it by 9? That's fun. Yes, 9 and 11. And remember, negative 9, positive 11, or positive 9, negative 11. Okay. Go to 10. No, 10 is an even number. 11. Oh, we already did that one. Okay. So these are all the factors of 99. Just because it's a big number doesn't mean that you're gonna have to go through a ton of numbers to find its factors. But this is what we have. Okay. It only took, a couple of minutes, and you got really 3 factors, but we changed the sign, so it's turned into 6 factors. So we're just going to kind of guess and check them. What I would do, instead of going negative 199 and then 1 negative 99, I would start with one of these, and one of these. And then that might help you move through it faster. Okay. Also, you don't have to start with negative 1 and 99. Because if I think about it, 99 times x is 99x, negative 1 times x is negative x, 99 minus 1 is just going to be 98x. So you don't even need to start with this one. You can start with the ones that sound more reasonable. Okay. So again, we know that this is x times x because x squared is x times x. Then we've got, so we're starting at the bottom of the list, 9 and negative 11. So that would be plus 9 minus 11. Okay. First, so now we're just going to work backwards to check to make sure it looks like this when we factor. What did I get? 2? Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So first is x times x gives me x squared. Outside is x times negative 11 is a negative 11x. Inside is 9 times x, positive 9x. Last, positive 9 times negative 11 is a negative 99. X squared, if we combine like terms, it's negative 2x minus 99. Oh, so we got it on our first try. Excellent. Also, if we had chosen those two numbers, but switched the signs, it said minus 9 plus 11, right? If we had chosen that one instead, then it would be x times x is x squared, x times 11 is plus 11x, negative 9 times x is minus 9x, negative 9 times 11 is negative 99. When I combine like terms, it would have been x squared plus 2x minus 99. And I would have seen that, oh, that is quite similar. The only difference is the sign. Maybe if I go back, instead of negative 9, positive 11, choose positive 11, negative 9. Okay, so that's what I would suggest if you did get something that was close, but the wrong sign. The right answer was the wrong sign. Okay, so x squared minus 2x minus 99 becomes x plus 9 times quantity x minus 11. X times x is x squared. 9x minus 11x is negative 2x. 9 times negative 11 is a negative 99. If you try a set of factors that do not work, don't erase them, cross them out, so you have a record of what you already tried. It's hard to stay organized when we get up to the bigger numbers, okay? So, again, x squared plus 7x minus 60, because this is a 1x squared, we've just got x times x, and we have to decide what goes here. We need to find the factors of a negative 60. Again, just start with 1. Negative 60 divided by 1 is 1, negative 60. Also negative 1, positive 60. Negative 60 divided by 2. 30 times 2 is 60, so negative 30 times a positive 2 is negative 60. Negative 2, positive 30. Good. Divide 60 by 3. I think you get 20, right? Positive 3, negative 20, or negative 3 times a positive 20 will give me a negative 60. Let's see if you can divide 60 by 4. 60 divided by 4, and sorry, it should have been a negative 60, but so we'll say it's 4 and negative 15, or negative 4 and positive 15. Good. 5. 60, negative 60 divided by 5 is negative 12. Negative 60 divided by 6, I think we know that one, right? Negative 10. Yeah. 6 and negative 10, or negative 6 and positive 10. Negative 60 divided by 7, no. Negative 60 divided by 8. 60 divided by 9, no. 60 divided by 10, and we're back to the bottom of the list, right? So 6, 7, 8, 9, we're not viable, and then we got 10, so we know these are all our factors. There's so many, can't even put them all. I want it to multiply negative 60, right? So we've got that list, but I want it to add to 7. So think about, we have 1 positive and 1 negative, and we want it to add when we combine them. So 1 times a negative 60, that would be negative 59, right? 60 minus 1 is a positive 59. So what we're looking for is a difference of 7 between them. So 30 times 2, negative 30 minus 2 is a negative 28, right? And then that's going to be a positive 28. Negative 20 plus 3 is a negative 17. And then those are opposite signs, so it's going to be a positive 17. Negative 15 plus 4 is a negative 11. 15 minus 4 is a positive 11. Negative 12 plus 5 is a negative 7. 12 minus 5 is a positive 7. Negative 10 plus 6 is a negative 4. And 10 minus 6 is a positive 4. So you can kind of think about which one of those looks like it would give us a positive 7x if I put them here and here. Not the 59s, not the 28s, not the 17s, not the 10s, the 7s, right? Did I want it to be a negative 7 or a positive 7? I wanted it to be a positive 7. So I'm going to choose negative 5 and 12. X minus 5, x plus 12. Let's just make sure. First, we got x times x is x squared. Outside, we've got x times 12 is 12x. Inside, we've got negative 5 times x is negative 5x. And then last, we've got negative 5 times 12, which we already established is negative 60. Good. So x squared plus 12x minus 5x minus 60. Combine these like terms. 12 minus 5 is 7x. Keep the A and the C terms the same. X squared plus 7x minus 60. Oh, sorry. That is not what we were doing. That was me checking the answer, but I actually meant to write down as my answer is x minus 5 times x plus 12. So as you're making your list of factors, think about what they combine to. And combining here with subtraction because we had one positive and one negative, but if they're both positive, then we're just adding them, okay? This was subtraction because it was a negative number, but as you're making your factors, just imagine what do those combine to? Negative 28, positive, okay? Here we have 84 plus 83x plus x squared. That looks scary. Don't be scared. Because remember, the first step is put it in descending order. So instead of 84 as our A is actually 1. 1x squared plus 83 is our B 83x plus 84. Good? Now, I know it's going to be x times x, right? And then do I need to list all the factors of 84 or do I just look very carefully at this one and think, 84, it needs to multiply to 84 and it needs to add to 83. Multiply to 84 and add to 83. So it could be 84 and negative 1, right? But if I multiply, think about it, if I multiply 84 times negative 1, if I subtract them, right? If I combine them, I get 83. 84 minus 1, right? If I combine them by adding or subtracting, I get 83. But if I multiply 84 times a negative 1, I don't get a positive 84. Okay? What are my options? What are the factor pairs of 84? Remember, this is positive. If this is positive, if your C is positive, that means your factors could either be positive 84, positive 1, or negative 84, negative 1, right? Two negatives make a positive and two positives make a positive. And then remember your B term, that's positive. So if your B term is positive, you're not going to say negative 84 plus negative 1, right? You're only going to take the positive 1. So as we're making our list, we don't need to include the two different types. Okay, we just need the positive factor pairs. We don't need any of the negative factor pairs because the two negatives will never add to 83. Okay, so 84 divided by 1, get 84. Divide 84 by 2, right? 4 divided by 2, sorry, here's the number 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So another pair is 42 and 2. 84 divided by 3 is 28. So we have the numbers 3 and 28. 84 divided by 4. We can kind of do that one in your head, right? Because 4 divided by 4 is 1, and 8 divided by 4 is 2. So it would just be the number 21. Let's keep going. 84. Are we going to be able to divide it by 5? 84 divided by 5 is 16.8. So no. 84 divided by 6 is 14. 84 divided by 7, don't think. Oh, yeah. 84 divided by 7 is 12. 84 divided by 8, oddly, it's not a factor. 84 divided by 9, no. 84 divided by 10, no way. 84 divided by 11, nope. And 84 divided by 12 gets us back to 12 times 7. So those are all of our factors. Do any of them add up to a positive 83? Do any of those add up to 83? Well, you can just add them up along the side. 42 plus 2 is 44. 28 and 3, 31, I think. 21 and 4 is 25. 14 and 6 is 20, and 7 and 12 is 19. None of those add up to 83. So even if I said plus 42 plus 2, that one's not going to work because 42x and 2x don't equal 83. I said it was 28 and 3, 28x and 3x do not equal 83. If I said it was 21 and 4, 21x and 4x do not equal 83. If I said it was 14 and 6, 14x and 6x are not going to add up to 83. And then finally, it's not going to be 12 and 7, right? Because 12x and 7x are not going to equal 83. So what we say is we tried them all and that this one is prime. There's no way to factor x squared plus 83x plus 84, nor is there any way to factor 84 plus 83x plus x squared. All right, number 8, 3x plus 40, or sorry, 3x minus 40 plus x squared. Again, please remember to put them in descending order. So if I rearrange this into descending order, I get x squared plus 3x, but then minus 40. Again, because this is just a 1x squared, I know that if I'm able to factor it, it's going to be x plus something times x plus something, or minus something, right? So it's a negative 40. Again, the factor pairs of negative 40 are either negative 1 and positive 40, or positive 1 and negative 40. So there's two versions, right? The 1 is negative, the 40 is positive, or the 1 is positive, the 40 is negative. This term is negative and this term is positive. It is possible, okay? You're going to multiply a negative times a positive to get a negative. You're going to add or combine a positive and a negative and get a positive. Those are possible. If we combine 40 and negative 1, we get a positive 39. If we combine negative 40 and positive 1, we're going to get a negative 39. So which ones are we wanting to look at? We're going to want to look at the situations in which the smaller of the two factors is the negative one, because this is a positive number, so we need the end number to be positive. So when I'm combining a big positive and a small negative, I get a positive. When I'm combining a big negative and a small positive, I'm getting a negative. I want a positive, so I want my positive number, sorry, my bigger number to be the positive one. Okay, as we're going through the list. Negative 40, negative 1 and 40, negative 2 and 20, right? 20 times 2 is 40. Again, we could write 2 and negative 20, but that's going to give us a negative 18, and we don't want negatives. We want this number to be positive. We specifically want it to be a positive 3. So here's our 1, 2. Can you take 40 and divide it by 3? No. Can you take 40 and divide it by 4? I think so, right? So it can be negative 4, positive 10, positive 4, negative 10. So that would give us a negative answer. 10 minus 4 is 6. That's what we're looking for. We're not looking for 6, we're looking for 3, right? Take 40, we divide it by 4, can you divide it by 5? If you divide it by 5, 40 divided by 5 is an 8. So it could be negative 5, positive 8, or positive 5, negative 8. But positive 5, negative 8 gives us a negative 3. We're not looking for a negative, we're looking for a positive 3. So we're close to it, but not the negative 8, positive 5, the negative 5, positive 8. 8 minus 5 is 3. So of my factor pairs, I decided that it is negative 5 and positive 8. Negative 5 and positive 8 give me a negative 40. And when I FOIL the whole thing, first times first is x squared. Outside times outside is a positive 8x. Inside times inside is a negative 5x. And then last times last is a negative 40. Positive 8 minus 5 gives me a positive 3 when I simplify it. Also, there is nothing wrong with saying x plus 8, x minus 5. It'll give you the same answer. It'll still be x squared minus 5x plus 8x minus 40. And 8x minus 5x is 3x, just like negative 5x plus 8x is 3x. It just changes the order of the two inner terms. It doesn't change the final answer being 3x minus 40 plus x squared. All right, number 9. This is not the format we are used to seeing it in, right? So in order to get it into the correct format, what we should do is factor out a common factor. What factor do you see that is common to x cubed, x squared, and x? Sorry, negative 20, negative x squared. X cubed, negative x squared, and negative 20x, they all have a factor of x. So this becomes x times x squared minus x minus 20. Okay, I didn't factor out a negative x, I factored out just an x because I want this positive. Okay, it's okay that that's negative, it's okay that that's negative, it's best that this is positive. Now, we still need to factor x squared minus x minus 20. I'm going to ignore that part and just add it at the very, very end, okay? So we know x squared is x times x, but what is this one and this one, okay? Negative 20, and I need it to add to what? To a negative 1, negative 1x, okay? So what are my factors? My factors of negative 20 could be plus 1 minus 20. They could be minus 1 plus 20. They could be plus 2 minus 10. It could be minus 2 plus 10. I don't think we can take 20 and divide it by 3. We can divide it by 4. So plus 4, negative 20 divided by a positive 4 is a negative 5. And then I can just switch the signs. So negative 20 divided by negative 4 gives me a positive 5. And then that's all my factors. I divided 20 by 1, I divided by 2, and I divided it by 4. If I divide it by 5, that's the same problem. Okay, so first outside, inside. Negative 20x plus 1x is not going to give me a negative x. Same here. First outside is 20x, inside is negative 1x. So that would be 20x minus 1x. This would be negative 20x plus 1x. Here we've got first outside negative 10x plus 2x. Here we've got first outside 10x inside negative 2x. So I'm trying to find negative x. First is x squared. Outside is negative 5x. Inside is 4x. Negative 5 plus 4 is negative x. So this is the correct pair. So it would be x times x minus, excuse me, plus 4, x minus 5. You don't need an extra set of parentheses like around these two, because this means multiplication. This means multiplication of these two. So we'll multiply these two and then we'll multiply this. It doesn't matter the order because multiplication is multiplication. All right, here's u squared minus 5uv minus 24v squared. But why, you know? Why would this be one? All right, u squared is still just u times u, right? And then negative 24 v squared just means there's going to be a v and a v, okay? So don't be scared of those letters. Negative 24 could be negative 1, positive 24, positive 1, negative 24, negative 2, positive 12, positive 2, negative 12. 24 divided by 4 is 6. Shouldn't use my calculator for that, but I did. And then those are all the factors of 24, right? Oh, there's 3. Negative 3 and positive 8, and then positive 3 and negative 8. All right. Those are my factors of negative 24. I need them to combine to equal negative 5. Okay? Negative 5 means that I want the negative number to be the bigger one. Negative number is bigger, negative number is bigger, negative number is bigger, negative number is bigger, because when I combine them, I want them to add to a negative number. This one won't. Negative 24 plus 1 is just negative 23, so that one won't. Sorry, we're looking for negative 5, remember? Negative 5. Negative 23 is not negative 5. Here is negative 10. Here is negative 2. And then negative 8 plus 3 is negative 5. So my pair is 3 and negative 8, v. Negative 8v, positive 3v. So first, I distributed the u squared, I distributed the v squared, and then I decided that negative 8, positive 3 multiply to equal negative 24 and add to equal negative 5. Good. All right, number 11, we can factor out an x to the 5th, right? We can also factor out a 5 because they all end in 5. Five x to the 7th divided by 5x to the 5th leaves us with x squared. Negative 10 divided by 5 is a negative 2. X to the 6th divided by x to the 5th is just x. And then negative 315 divided by positive 5 is a negative 63. So we have 5x to the 5th times 2 binomials. What is going to multiply to negative 63 and add to negative 2? Well, 63 divided by 9 is 7. So if I say negative 9 and positive 7, negative 9 and positive 7 multiply to negative 63, and then negative 9 plus 7 add to negative 2x. Okay? All right, so those were our examples of FOILing in reverse. Now, we're going to see a new method. The AC method is what it's called, okay? We're going to create a 4-term polynomial and factor it by grouping. So just to review factoring by grouping from 6.1, what we do is we take, well, first we make sure 3x squared, 8x, 24x, and 64. We could combine the 8x and the 24x, but we don't want to do that. We're still trying to factor, not combine like terms, okay? So is there a like term we can factor out? There is not, so we're just going to split it in half. 3x squared plus 8x. I can factor out an x, okay? So 3x squared plus 8x, you don't need to worry about the rest of it, becomes x times 3x squared divided by x is 3x, and then 8x divided by x is 8, okay? Now, look at the other half, including the sign, okay? It's a positive, so that means whatever I factor out also has to be positive. So I'm just gonna write a plus right there because my factored term is gonna be in front of what I left out to multiply. So 64 and 24. I can divide them both by, well, I would just like to take that one and say, can I divide it by 24? No. What are the factors of 26? Well, we did it earlier today, right? The factors of negative 24 are the following. I was just looking at the positive version of 24, it would be 1, 24, 2, 12, 4, 6, 3, and 8, right? Put those in descending order because you want to start with the biggest number you can find that is common to both 24 and 64, okay? So we've got the numbers 24, 12, 8, 6, 4, 3, 2, and 1. 64, can I just take 64, say, can I divide it by 24? No. 64, can I divide it by 12? No. 64, can I divide it by 8? Yes, 64 is 8 times 8. So I'm going to say our common factor is 8. Good. So I factored out an x out of the first two terms and an 8 out of the last two terms. 24x divided by 8 is going to give me a 3x. And then 64 divided by 8 is going to be a positive 8. Now, we're going to continue to factor out the greatest common factor. The greatest common factor of x times the quantity 3x plus 8 plus 8 times the quantity 3x plus 8 is 3x plus 8. So I'm factoring that out. If I'm factoring that out, it means I put it in front of the whole thing, and the whole thing is x plus 8. So this is factoring a polynomial by grouping. Okay. And as we are introduced to the AC method, AC method helps us form a 4-term polynomial. All right, so the AC method asks us to have the polynomial in the form ax squared plus bx plus c, multiply a and c. Then find all the factors of a and c. If a times c is a positive number, add the factors to find the number b. If a times c is negative, subtract the factors to form the number b. So choose the factor pair, combines to equal b. Would you say which or that? And then factor by grouping. Okay, here is x squared plus 8x plus 12. Step 1 is multiply a times c. The product has to equal a times c. A isn't x squared. A is just 1. 1 times 12 is 12. And then it needs to combine or sum to equal b. So we need it to multiply to 12, add to 8. It needs to multiply to equal a times c. Needs to multiply to equal a times c. Needs to add to equal b. Good. So what are the factors of 12? We have 1, times 12. We're not going to use the negatives, okay, because this is, we want it to add to a positive number, so we're going to ignore -1 times -12, 2 times 6, right, and 3 times 4. Now we add those same numbers, 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. Do any of those add to 8? Yes. 2 and 6. Because A is just 1, we're going to do this the normal way. The way we did it, sorry, not the normal way, the way we did it on the last page. So x plus 2, x plus 6. There's no need to factor by grouping because we know that x squared only factors to x times x, and then our two factors are 2 times 6 will equal 12, and 2x plus 6x will equal 8x, okay? Once we get to terms like 5t to the 5th minus 5t to the 4th minus 30t to the 3rd, not even the 5 is a prime number. Once we get to something like 24, maybe, the actual AC number. All right. Remember, we are multiplying remember, A is 1, B is 3, C is -18 here. So we want it to multiply to equal 1 times -18, which is -18, and we want it to add to equal 3. Okay. We want it to add to 3, so it's going to be a negative and a positive, with the positive being the bigger number, right? So we have -1 times a positive 18 will give us a -18. -2 times a positive 9, negative 18 divided by 3 is 7, right? No, 18 divided by 3 is 6. 18 divided by 4, no. And 18 divided by 5, no. And then 18 divided by 6 will get to 3. So do any of those add now? -1 plus 18, -2 plus 9, -3 plus 6. Do any of those add to 3? Yes. -3 and 6. Again, as long as A is 1, we just do the same thing as usual. X times x. So they're the only factors of x squared, or just x times x, x minus 3, x plus 6. Good. All right. 16, x squared minus x minus 35. A is 1, B is -1, C is -35. The product is needs to multiply to -35 and needs to add to -1. Interesting. -35 would be -35 and 1, also 35 and -1, but it's adding to a negative number. So I'm only going to take the bigger number as negative pairs. -35 divided by 2 won't work because it's an odd number. -35 divided by 3, I don't think will work, because 30 is a multiple of 3, but 5 is not a multiple of 3. Okay, 35 divided by 4, no, 35 divided by 5, yes. 35 divided by 5 is 7. So remember, I'm going to keep my bigger number negative because I want it to add to a negative number. 5 and -7 adds to a negative number. -5 and +7 would not add to a negative number. 35 divided by 6. No. 35 divided by 5. Yes. Goes back to 7. Right? Those are all our factors. -35 plus 1 is -34. -7 plus 5 is -2. None of our pairs work. All you have to do is say that this is a prime polynomial, prime trinomial. All right, 17. Again, I would encourage you to just go with what we already know, which is that x squared becomes x times x, and y squared becomes y times y. Now we're just trying to figure out what will multiply to -28 because A times C becomes 1 times negative 28, which is negative 28. And then it adds to a positive 3 or adds to B, right? Okay. I'm going to ignore the y squared because I already accounted for it, and the x squared goes here, okay? Multiples of negative 28. Let's make a list. Negative 28. Our sum is a positive 3, so I only want 28 negative 1, right? I don't need negative 28 1 because I want it to add to a positive number. What about if I take negative 28 and I divide it by 2? Well, 8 divided by 2 is 4. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So I think it's 14. What about negative 30? I feel like I already did this one for the class. 28 divided by 3. No. 28 divided by 4. 7. 28 divided by 6. No. 28 divided by 7. No. Yes. 4. Sorry. Back around. So here are all our factors of negative 28. 28 times negative 1. 14 times negative 2. And 7 times negative 4. Do any of them add to 3? 28 minus 1 is not going to equal 3. 14 minus 2 is not going to equal 3, but 7 minus 4 will equal 3. So I'm going to say that's x minus 4y plus times x plus 7y. Right? So I said it needs to multiply to negative 28y squared. Negative 4y times positive 7y will give me negative 28y squared. X times 7y will give me 7xy. Negative 4y times x will give me negative 4xy. Those are like terms. 7xy minus 4xy will give me positive 3xy. And obviously x times x gives me the x squared. So that one looks really challenging. But again, you know that if you see x squared, it's just x times x. Even if you see y squared, it's just y times y. And you just need to decide what these two numbers are based on the c, or truly the a times the c, and the b. Okay. 5t to the 5th minus 5t to the 4th minus 30t to the 3rd. Again, they're just trying to trick us. 5 to the t to the 5th minus 5t to the 4th minus 30t to the 3rd. It's in descending order, so that's good. But we want to divide out a common denominator or a greatest common factor, which would be t to the 3rd, right? T to the 5th divided by t to the 3rd, t to the 4th divided by t to the 3rd, t to the 3rd divided by t to the 3rd. And furthermore, a 5, right? Again, you always want your first term positive, so make sure it's a positive 5t to the 3rd. So 5t to the 3rd, 5t to the 3rd, sorry, 5t to the 5th divided by 5t to the 3rd leaves me with t squared. Negative 5t to the 4th divided by t to the 3rd, 5t to the 3rd is a negative t. Negative 30 divided by positive 5 is a negative 6. T to the 3rd divided by t to the 3rd eliminates the t to the 3rd. So all I'm doing here is finding the factors of t squared minus t minus 6. And you kind of don't even need to do any of this, right? You're like, it's either, well, no, let's do that. Product of a times c, which is 1 times negative 6. So it needs to multiply to negative 6, and it needs to add to negative 1, right? It's a negative 1t. Negative 6 would be negative 6 and positive 1, negative 3 and 2. Right? It's not going to be 6 times a negative 1, and it's not going to be 3 times a negative 2, because if I add those won't add up to a negative number. Negative 6 plus 1 is a negative 5. Negative 3 plus 2 is a negative 1. 6 minus 1 is 5, 3 minus 2 is 1. Obviously, we like this one, so it's t minus 3 times quantity t plus 2 with a 5t to the third to the outside. So final answer, let me rewrite it, is 5t to the third, because we we divided out that, so it's common to all of them, times t minus 3 times t plus 2. Because negative 3 times a positive 2 will give me that negative 6. T times t will give me that t squared. T times 2 is 2t. Negative 3t times negative 3 times t is negative 3t. 2t minus 3t gives me that negative t. So I was supposed to teach you two different ways to factor leading coefficient of 1. And I kind of did. Those are the two different kinds. Now, if we were doing a reverse FOIL, how do we factor this one? So 7x squared does not, there's only one way to write it, right? 7x squared is just going to be x times 7x. Now we have the number negative 5. Negative 5 could either be negative 5 times 1, 5 times negative 1. That's it. And I guess 7x squared could be negative 1, negative x times negative 7x, but it's not going to be that. Okay, your first term is always going to be positive. I mean, if this is positive, I don't mean what I said. I know what I mean. What I mean is, if this is positive, these two are going to be positive. Okay, I would not worry about negative x times negative 7x. So it's either minus 5 plus 1 or plus 5 minus 1, right? Those are all of our options. Or so it seems, right? Because this is not a 1 anymore, because this is a 7, it's actually going to affect how we multiply. So now, because these are not the same terms, it does matter whether the negative 5 is with the x or with the 7x. So I'm going to rewrite it every possible way. It looks like there are only two ways, but there are not, okay? So here, it's a negative 5 and a positive 5, but here I'm going to put this negative 5 with the 7. And then obviously if the 5 is there, if the negative 5 is there, there's a 1 here. If this positive 5, it was with the x, I'm going to put it with the 7. If it's a positive 5 here, it's a negative 1 here, okay? Now, this is reverse FOIL. Which one of these actually turns out to give us positive 34x, okay? We know that first is always going to be 7x squared, and we know that last is always going to be negative 5. So we're just looking at O and I, and then we're going to add them. Outside is going to be 1. Inside is going to be negative 35. Ooh, we got it right on the first one. Outside here is going to be negative 1, oh sorry, x. Inside is going to be positive 35x. Here, outside is going to be negative 5x, and inside is going to be 7x. Here, outside is going to be 5x, and inside is going to be negative 7x. Now, when we add those, we need them to add to equal 34x. We need to go like this, right? So this one would be x minus 35x. This one would be negative x plus 35x. This one would be negative 5x plus 7x. And this one would be 5x minus 7x. Do any of those add to positive 34? Yes, the first one we tried. So this one is not. And our answer is, sorry, I got a little bit crowded, x minus 5 times quantity 7x plus 1. So we only had two different factors possibilities, right? With the change signs, but because of the 7x, we had to decide whether the -5 went with the x or with the 7x. So we decided it was -5 and 1 instead of +5 and -1. And then does the -5 go with the x or does the -5 go with the 7? Right? There is 7x squared minus 34 plus 34x minus 5, using the AC. All right, the AC method. I'll do it, but I'm only gonna do one. So 23 is 5x squared plus x minus 84. Good. All right. What are the factors of -84? -84. 84 divided by 2 is 42. So we have sorry, I'm trying to solve this. So it's multiplying to a negative, but it's adding to a positive. So I'm going to say that it's going to be 84 and -1, 42 and -2, 84 divided by 3, 28, 28 and -3, 84 divided by 4 is 21. I'm not gonna be able to divide it by 5. 84 divided by 6 is 14. '84 divided by 7 is 12. 84 divided by 8, 84 divided by 9, 84 divided by 10, no, 84 divided by 11, no, 84 divided by 12, goes back to 7. So here are factors of 84. We want to see if they, all right. These are not going to add up to a 1, a positive 1, because no one, the AC method, it takes too long, but yes, we have to. Or I can put all those in. Let's put all those in. Let's just do this stuff the while away, all right? So what we have is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 options. All right, so we have 5x squared becomes 5x and x. So I'm keeping the first terms in the same position. And then I have to substitute in each. Okay. So if this is 5x and x for 84 and -1, it's either 84 is here or -1 is here. And then 84 is here or -1 is here. Okay. -1 is here or 84 is here. All right, so 5x plus 84 times x minus 1. First is going to be 5x times x gives us x squared. 5x times a -1 is a -5x. And then 84 times x is 84x. So that becomes, sorry, first outside -5x plus 84x That's not going to give us a positive x. All right, now I need to do -1 is here and 84 is here. First is 5x times x is 5x squared. 5x times 84 is going to be enormous, so no. No to either of those, okay? Now we have 42 and -2. 5x, 42 minus 2. 5x times x is a 5x squared. 5x times a -2 is a -10x. And then 42 times x is plus 42x. 42x minus 10x does not give me an x. All right, so now I want to know, is it that the -2 goes over here and the 42 goes here? 5x times 42, no, that's going to be an enormous number, so I'm not going to do that one. 28 and -3. 28, -3. 5x times x is 5x squared. 5x times a -3 is a -15x. And then 28 times x is plus 28. -15x plus 28x, sorry, does not give me a positive x. What about if I put the -3 here and the 28 there? 5x times 28 is going to be an enormous number, so no. Okay, I'm going to do 21. 21 here, -4 here. Good. 5x times x is 5x squared. 5x times a -4 is a -20x. And then 21x plus, or sorry, 21 times x is plus 21x. -20x plus 21x gives me this. So I'm going to say it's 5x plus 21 times x minus 4. Let's just check that it becomes 5x squared plus x minus 84. I want it to equal 5x squared plus x minus 84. Good. 5x times x is 5x squared. 5x times -4 is a -20x. 21 times x is 21x. And then 21 times -4 is -84. -20x plus 21x is just x. Good. All right, that is not the best way to do it because you would have had to check all of these, and then if none of those had worked, you would have had to go back and actually check -84 plus 1. Because it could have been possible that because of the 5x, you could have made the -7 bigger than the 12 if you multiply -7 times 5. Anyway, not the right way to do it. It would be better to use the AC method. The AC method would be good. So we have 15x squared plus 16x plus 4. So 15 times 4 is 60. And then we need it to multiply to equal 60, and we need it to add to equal 16. Good. All right, so multiples of 60 would just be 60 and 1, 30 and 2, 10 and 3, sorry, 20 and 3. 15 and 4. Twelve and 5, 10 and 6. All right, those multiply to equal 60. They should also add to equal 16. 10 and 6, add to equal 16. Good. All right, because this is not a 1, we don't know what it is, right? We don't know how 15 is going to factor. What we're going to do instead is leave A the same, and then 16x is going to become 10x and 6x. It does not matter, I promise you, it does not matter which order you do it in. So if the 16 becomes 6x plus 10x or 10x plus 6x, okay? Now we're going to factor by grouping. So 15x squared plus 16x plus 4 becomes 15x squared plus 10x plus 6x plus 4. Is that all right? So it's now 15x squared plus 10x plus 6x plus 4. Good? All right. Now we're going to factor by grouping, okay? I can't factor anything out of all 4 of them, so I'm just going to group them. 15x squared plus 10x, I can factor out a 5x. Good? So this is now 15x squared divided by 5x is 3x. 10x divided by 5x is 2. Get my other half, it's 6, positive 6x plus 4. I can divide out a 2. Keep it the same sign. 6x divided by 2 is 3x. 4 divided by 2 is 2. And what we notice is we have a 3x plus 2 common to both of them, so that becomes 3x plus 2 factored out of 5x plus 2. And we find that that works for 15x squared plus 16x plus 4, 3x plus 2, 5x plus 2. Right after that, 13x times 5x is 15x squared. 3x plus times 2 is 6x. 2 times 5 is 10x. And then 2 times 2 is 4. So we could have, and then the 6x plus 10x becomes the 16x. So we see that we could have guessed, right? 15, the factors are 1 and 15, 3 and 5. So we could have just guessed all of the possible options because 4 is a pretty small number with either 4 and 1 or 2 and 2, right? So we could have guessed all of the possible options, or you can factor by grouping. It's up to you. 12x squared plus 17x plus 6. I'll just do a couple more factoring by grouping, just to give you an example. So 12x squared plus 17x plus 6. Good. A times C is 12 times 6, which is 12 times 6, which is 72. So we're multiplying to get 72, and then we need to add to get 17. So 2 factors of positive 72 that add to 17. So 72 divided by 2 is 36. So of course we have 72 and 1, but those don't add to 17. 36 and 2, those don't add to 17. 72, I'm just going to say divided by 3. 24 and 3 do not add to 17. 72 divided by 4. 18 and 4, those don't add to 17. 72 divided by 5, that won't work. 72 divided by 6 is 12. Do 12 and 6 add up to 17? No. 72 divided by 7? No. 72 divided by 8? 8 and 9. Do 9 and 8 add up to 17? They certainly do. Sorry, you can just do those ones. So 36 plus 2 doesn't add to 17. 72 and 1 doesn't add to 17. 24 and 3 doesn't add to 17. 18 and 4 doesn't add to 17. 12 and 6? No. 9 and 8? Yes. So remember, this is not an x squared, it's a 12x squared. So we just bring down a, we bring down C, and instead of B, we put in the two factors that add up to B, right? 9x and 8x will add up to 17x. So this becomes two numbers that combine to give you your original B, right? 12x squared. Instead of plus 17x, we're going to say plus, and remember, it doesn't matter, 9x plus 8x, and then bring your original C. Good? All right, factoring by grouping. 12x squared plus 9x, divide them both by 3x, I think, yeah? So now I have 3x times the quantity. 12x squared divided by 3 is 4x. 9x divided by 3 is 3. On my other half, it's a plus 8, so I know that the term I'm going to divide them by is also going to be positive. 8x and 6, all I can think of is 2. So it's 3x times the quantity, 4x plus 3, plus 2 times the quantity. 8x divided by 2 is 4x, and you kind of want to be glancing over here, be like, oh, they match, that's good. 6 divided by 2 is 3. And so this factoring by grouping gives me 4x plus 3 times 3x plus 2. Good? And you can go back and work it out, FOIL it out to make sure that it does equal 12x squared plus 17x plus 6. You're also welcome to just say, well, the factors of 12 are 1 and 12, 3 and 4, or 6 and 2. And then the factors of 6 are 1 and 6, 3 and 2, right? And then just mix and match until you find it. Or you can do factoring by grouping. Up to you, okay? Factoring by grouping is called the ABC method. Last one, we're going to do 10y squared minus 23y plus 12. Always remember to try to factor out anything that is common to all three of them, if there is anything common. The AC method, A times C is 10 times 12, which is 120, right? And then B is negative 23. So we want two numbers that will multiply to equal 120, positive, and they will add to equal a negative 23, okay? 120. These two, so it needs to multiply to a positive. Oh, interesting. It needs to multiply to a positive, but add to a negative. That means we don't want any of the 120 times 1. We only want negative 1 times negative 120. Okay, so we're only taking the negatives because those are the only things that are going to add to a negative, but also multiply to a positive. So 120 divided by 2, what do you think? 60? Negative 2, negative 60. And you can just be glancing over. If it adds to negative 23, you can stop, okay? 120 divided by 3 is 40. 120 divided by 4 is 30. That's kind of fun. Negative 30, of course. 120 divided by 5 is 24. We're getting close, right? 120 divided by 6 is 20. 120 divided by 7. Nope. 120 divided by 8. 8 and 15. Sorry, that should be negative 20. So does negative 8 and negative 15 add to negative 23? Yes. Does it multiply to a positive 120? Yes. So we're going to do negative 8 and negative 15 over here. Remember, 10 stays the same. Instead of negative 23, we're going to say negative 8 minus 15. They get the y from this y, right? Plus 12, because when we put them all into the FOIL, they get the y from over here. Now we're just factoring by grouping. They've been grouped, okay? 10y squared minus 8y. I'm going to divide them both by, obviously, y. And then 10 and negative 8, you can divide them both by 2. 2 is the biggest number you can divide them both by, so I'm going to start with 2y. 10y squared divided by 2y, 10 divided by 2 is 5, y squared divided by y is y. Negative 8y divided by 2y, negative 8 divided by positive 2 is a negative 4, y divided by y takes away my y. Okay. Other side. Notice, negative, okay? That means the number I'm going to choose to divide them both by has to be negative. Negative 15y and a positive 12, I think it's just a 3. Negative 15y divided by negative 3, negative 15 divided by negative 3 is 5, y divided by no y is just a y, we leave the y there. Positive 12 divided by negative 3, a positive divided by negative is going to be a negative, and then 12 divided by 3 is 4. We see a 5y minus 4. And what was left? 2y minus 3. 5y minus 4. 2y minus 3. So I tried to avoid the AC method for 23 because it seemed like it would take longer because there would be a lot of factors of whatever 84 times 5 is, and we ended up doing like this big long list where like the act kind of became overwhelming, right? Like the act of, okay, do this pair with this one, and then do this pair, flip those two around, and then keep doing the list. So let's go back and do 5x squared plus x minus 84 with the AC method and see if you like it better. So a times c is going to be 5 times negative 84, which is negative 420. So, sorry, and then b is just number 1. So what we have is we want numbers that are going to multiply to negative 420, multiply to equal a negative 420, and it will add to equal 1. Seems like you can kind of like ignore the really big ones, but I'll just do them all, right? Okay, if it's going to multiply to a negative but add to a positive, that means I'm going to do negative 1, positive 420. Negative 2, what's 420 divided by 2? 24, 210, no. 210, 420 divided by 3 is 140. 420 divided by 4 is 105. 420 divided by 5 is 84. 420 divided by 6 is 70. So this part feels long, but then you're not guessing at the end. And make less mistakes, I would say. 420 divided by 7 is 60. 420 divided by 8 is not possible. 420 divided by 9, no. 420 divided by 10 is 42, right? Let's hope so. 420 divided by 11, no. 420 divided by 12, 35. And remember, we want it to add to 1, so none of these work yet. 420 divided by 13, nope. 420 divided by 14 is 30. 15. 420 divided by 16. Nope. 420 divided by 17. Nope. 420 divided by 18. Nope. 420 divided by 19. No, 420 divided by 20 is 21. Yay! And negative 20 plus 21 is going to give me that positive 1. So I'm going to choose negative 20 and 21. Remember, those aren't our answers. We're not just going to say x minus 20, x plus 21, because 5x squared. If I do x times x, I'm not going to get 5x squared, okay? So that is not what we're doing. We are instead keeping a. B becomes 2 different terms, and then we're keeping C. Oh, I called that A, but I didn't call that C. Plus C. AX squared plus something X plus something X plus C. AX squared plus that number you found plus that other number you found, both with X's, plus C at the end. It'd be negative 20 plus 21. But my A is not just AX squared, it's 5X squared. Instead of that X, I'm going to call it negative 20X, 21X, and then C was negative 84. Good. Okay. Now, 5X squared minus 20X plus 21X minus 84. You're welcome to change the order if you want. I'm just going to go with what happened. Negative 20 and 21 was how it was written, so that's how I wrote it there, so that's what happened. There's nothing wrong with doing 5x squared plus 21x minus 20x minus 84. 5x squared minus 20x, I can divide them both. This is the easy side, right? I can divide them both by 5x. So 5x becomes x, negative 20x becomes negative 4. Over here, I have 21 and 84. What are the common factors of 21 and 84? We'll just take 84 and make sure you can't divide it by 21. Oh, you can, yay. So I'm going to factor them both by 20, or I'm going to remove the common factor of positive 21, because that's a plus sign. 21x divided by 21 is going to give me x. Negative 84 divided by 21 is going to give me negative 4. And what I get is 5x plus 21 times x minus 4 using the AC method. And what did I get it? What did I get for it? That is the same thing I got for it on using the reverse FOIL method. So those are both valid ways to find your answer. Good job sticking it out to the end. This is a very long one, pretty complicated. I'm very proud of you, and hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day.